Ever since Shane Dawson was canceled about a year ago, the people in Shane's social circle were also affected. The public opinion was severely damaged for Shane Dawson, obviously, along with the public opinion of his fiancée Ryland Adams and Ryland's sister Morgan Adams, since they are both still closely associated with Shane. Alternatively, we saw a positive public opinion towards Shane's closest friends at the time, Garrett Watts and Andrew Sawicki, because they distanced and removed themselves from Shane's life around the same time when Shane Dawson's dark past began resurfacing online, beginning his cancellation. I recently stumbled upon a Reddit post where someone wanted to start a discussion around the quote, double standard about Morgan being a bad person for hanging out with Ryland and supposedly defending Shane, but Garrett is, quote, just some golden boy for leaving right before Shane's cancellation. This made me ask myself why Morgan's video views and sub counts have been declining for almost a year now. Is the reason truly only because she's related to Shane Dawson? Is that why Morgan is losing her audience while Garrett and Andrew are still so beloved and respected? Or is there something else to it? I'm about to take a closer look at Morgan's content and discuss some of the reasons and theories as to why people are losing interest and or respect in Morgan's content and personality. But before I do, I would like to invite my fellow artists to grab a sketchbook, a snack, something to drink, and draw along with me while we chat about internet drama. I like my videos to be a casual place where we can hang out and gossip while working on being creative at the same time. Or if you would just like to watch and listen, that's great too. I'm just happy you're here hanging out with me. And also, I just want to say trust the process because this drawing of Morgan starts out really rough, but it gets better as time goes on, I think. So let's get started. After stumbling upon that Reddit post about Morgan Adams that I had mentioned about a minute ago, I decided to dive deeper into some of the discussion under that thread and similar threads to find out exactly why people no longer like and support Morgan Adams. I was curious because if the only reason was truly only because she's associated with Shane, that seems unfair in my opinion. She's literally related to Shane at this point and he's part of her family. I do believe in cutting off toxic family members when it needs to happen, but I also understand it's really hard and sometimes almost impossible to do. Also, all we know is what we are shown on the internet. We have no clue what's going on behind the scenes, and I also personally believe it isn't our business to know either, unless the people involved decide to share. For them, this isn't internet gossip for drama channels to dish out. It's actual real family and it's actual real life for them. I found some similar opinions from other Redditors on this thread, including this comment which says, I'm not a fan of guilt by association. We don't know the background fact of what's going on and there's no point in speculating. We don't know what went down with Garrett or Andrew and why they stopped being friends with Shane or how they felt when they actually had relationships with them. I don't keep up with Morgan at all, so I can't speak to her, but I can't imagine it being difficult with her brother being married, ? They're married now, right? To Shane. Or, they're all terrible people, no way to know, so no point in making any judgment calls. Someone replied to them saying, yes, I think that guilt by association can be difficult, especially when the guilty party is literally the brother and her brother-in-law essentially. I don't think Morgan is a bad person by any means. I actually find her very likable, however, her content is not great at the moment, and I think she would benefit more doing her own thing rather than going along with what Ryland says. Like you say, being that her brother's fiancé is the bad guy, I can only imagine how conflicted she probably feels. Or she doesn't give a shit. Again, like you said, they could be terrible people, but who are we to know? We don't know them personally to know any of their relationships and dynamics. I know a lot of people have a different view than me on being associated with bad people and how that translates to the person being affected by the association, and that's totally okay and valid too. We all have different personal experiences that lead us to our beliefs, including myself, so it's totally possible that you may disagree with me based on your experiences with aligning yourself or distancing yourself from family members with beliefs or behaviors that you do not align with. I just personally don't think relation equals endorsement, even if you decide not to cut off the relationship completely. And since I personally don't believe in guilt by association, and neither do a select few people online, I decided to dive deeper into other reasons why Morgan may be getting canceled, quote, canceled. Was it really all because Shane Dawson and her are related, essentially? Reddit is not short of threads about Morgan Adams. It was interesting seeing all the valid criticism I came upon, and I loved hearing all the varying opinions and points of view, but I was also very disheartened to see some nasty comments and some rude comments that had no really basis in actual criticism, in my opinion. One person described their reasoning for not liking Morgan anymore by saying, "I unsubscribed because as the time went on, I got tired of the whole, look at me, I'm so ugly and fat, relatable, even though I look like literally every YouTuber, maybe a bit taller, OMG, I get bullied for how ugly I am, wow, I've never been in a relationship because I'm so ugly, did I mention girls bullied me on a brand trip because I'm fat and ugly, ooh woo, anyway, I have mental illness." And someone else added to that by saying, no, don't forget, every guy I've ever been with is gay, lol, lol, lol. Another person said, "She's so like Shane with the, my poor messy life, feel sorry for me, I'm just like you, I hate the manipulation." And someone else replied to them saying, "Yeah, I have to agree with you. She is somewhat funny, but she only got all those subscribers because of Shane. With everything that's been happening, makes sense, it's also affecting her online popularity." So I'd like to point out that Shane Dawson is also known for being, quote, fake relatable and, quote, fake poor, as we all probably know, which he has been called out for before the cancellation by a small audience of people. But for the most part, his audience seemed to find that behavior funny and endearing when Shane was still a beloved creator. Only now that Shane has been canceled is when I've seen an influx of complaints about this behavior. Sure, it can be slightly annoying and tone deaf, but compared to the other things Shane has done and said, I don't think that alone is something to cancel somebody for. Also, I've never seen anyone complaining about Morgan acting this way until after the Shane cancellation, once again circling me back to Morgan being canceled by association once again. If Shane Dawson was never canceled, I know there would still be some people talking about the fake poor, fake relatable behavior on both Shane and Morgan's parts, but I think the only reason why Morgan is getting so much criticism about it is because Shane is now canceled too, therefore making Morgan more unlikable to ex-Shane fans. I don't personally think it's very fair, but please let me know what you think. Why was it acceptable for Shane when he was doing it before the cancellation, but when Morgan does it, it's a reason to stop watching her content entirely? What about Garrett Watts? Doesn't he make similar jokes about himself? When another person tried to answer the question about why Morgan is losing so many subscribers right now, somebody said, "A lot of it can be misogyny. I've noticed that people tend to be a lot more harsh toward female YouTubers." I wanted to look even further. Was there another reason why Morgan is losing so many subs besides just simply being related to Shane Dawson? There were a couple reasons I found that people no longer wanted to watch or subscribe to Morgan on YouTube. Someone who was just simply bored of her new content said, "No disrespect to her, but I'm bored of her content. She's no longer relatable. I used to watch her videos as soon as she posted, but now I'm at least 5 videos behind because I don't want to watch them. It's not entertaining to see another Emma Chamberlain situation of a funny, relatable, humble person turn into a money-obsessed, rich LA snob." With someone else agreeing, saying, "As soon as she moved to LA, I knew she would change as a person. I loved her older videos with her family in Colorado and her friend, being funny and entertaining and all that. These new videos just don't seem very interesting to me. I am also trying to avoid having to see Shane and Ryland in them because Ryland is in almost every one of her videos and I can't stand either of them. Her personality definitely feels like it's changed and I guess I'm just not into this new person. Could be different for others though, but for me, I'm not caught up with her since the pandemic started." I think it's totally valid to just simply lose interest in the person's content over time, but what do you think about these Redditors attributing the lost interest in her new, changed LA snobby personality, apparently? I don't think I've personally experienced this association since I still feel like I can relate to her a lot of the time in her new content. Also, what do you think about the double standard of some people criticizing her for acting fake poor and other people criticizing her for not being humble enough and acting too much like a, quote, money-obsessed rich LA snob. With these two criticisms flying at her, I feel kind of bad. I can't imagine being in her position, seeing these two opposite criticisms about my actual personality without really struggling with it. This leads me to the next comment I would like to point out, as I think it relates directly to the point I was just getting at. Someone said, I like Morgan and I still watch her videos from time to time, but I can't really keep up with her lately. She tells us in a lot of videos that she's struggling and having a hard time, and I know that we're not obligated to know about it, but I just never get the feeling that I really understand what she's going through. I don't know if it makes sense. In many videos, she just keeps talking about how she's struggling, which is totally okay, but I don't know what she's really talking about. Like, is it her dating life, friends, family, moving? I can't keep up. English is not my first language, so I'm sorry if it doesn't make any sense, lol. I understand that as a viewer, it can be really frustrating to only hear part of a story, but online personalities are not obligated to tell their full story. And of course, Morgan is struggling. Just look at the two criticisms she got in the comments I read a little bit earlier. Being in the center of family drama that's aired out publicly on YouTube and dealing with the loss of interest and support must be really hard to go through. And then people leave because they aren't getting the full story. It must make everything even worse. I think it was a great idea for Morgan to step away from her main channel and focus more on vlogs instead. That way, only her true fans and supporters would follow her to her new channel, and then there's less pressure to act perfect yet relatable all the time. I'm also very happy for Morgan buying her first home in Colorado, and I think moving away from LA will really help her mental health. I think this is all a great move for her, and I hope it makes her happier. And I really don't think Morgan deserves all the hate she got from Shane Dawson's crossfire. I believe she's a good person who got caught up in family drama that was made extremely public on the internet. That can't be healthy for anybody, let alone someone who openly struggles with depression and mental health. I really wish her a healthy and happy future in her new Colorado home. So if you doodled along with me, I'd like to thank you so much and invite you to share your artwork with me on Twitter or Instagram at paintandsipyt. Here's some of the artwork that was shared with me from my last Paint and Sip YouTube video, so go check out their other artwork. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and don't forget to like and subscribe if this is the type of content that you like, so we can hang out some more in the future. See you next time.